Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor. Welcome back to another Crendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen video. But today's shitty green screen is the Warhammer 6th edition art. Look at that. Look at that, wowee. So today I wanted to make a video talking about how I got into Warhammer. And I made this video on my main channel a few years ago, but I've gotten so many new subscribers on this channel since then. And I've never really talked about it much on this channel, I don't think. And if I have, it's been in one of my random painting videos that somebody probably didn't even realize I talked about it in. And now that it's coming up on my 2-year anniversary of getting back into Warhammer, I thought it'd be fun to talk about it. So if you have a story of how you got into Warhammer and all your stuff, leave it in the comments section, because I think it's always fun to read about how people discovered something they enjoy. So, you know, how did you discover Warhammer? What did you get into it? Was it like your friends getting you into it? Let me know. So, and like, comment, subscribe. YouTube lingo, sorry. It's ingrained in me. I've been doing this for like 12 years, all right? So, I first got into Warhammer way back in 2001. It's got to be like 2001, 2002 maybe. My friend, Dan, who you might have seen way back when, I would always go by his house, you know, we would just play stuff. We were just childhood friends, and I remember it was the summertime, and his dad bought him a box set of Warhammer Fantasy 6th Edition. And I'd never heard of Warhammer before. I don't think he had either, and I think his dad wanted him to do something that wasn't sitting in front of a computer playing video games. And so he's like, here you go. This is it's like a cool fantasy hobby, and, you know, it'll get you away from that TV or computer screen, right? So I was like, all right, this seems cool. And I remember he was showing it to me like, oh, there's like the orcs, and there's the humans, and the Empire, and all this stuff. And I was like, I was blown away, right? Because, like, when you're a kid, you got, like, action figures, and there's, like, you know, cool TV shows and all that stuff of, like, you know, what did I watch as a kid? Like, Beast Wars. There's, like, Transformers. There's, like, oh, God, what else? Moo Mesa? Dude, you remember Moo Mesa? That was a thing, right? So that's a really long time ago. Yeah, that was 92, 93. I was, like, 4 or 5 years old. Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa. Oh my god. I remember I had those action figures. Oh man, what was that one shark? Street Sharks? You remember Street Sharks? Oh my god. This is turning into me just looking up old TV shows. 94, 97. Alright, we're getting there. And then, you know, just your generic, like, X-Men and everything, but you get my point, right? You know, I like little figurines, and you're like, hey, fight. Whatever, right? Most people, I feel they do. So this was like another step. You're like, whoa, dude, there's like all these crazy races. And then he was like, well, yeah, you buy it at this Games Workshop place. And he's like, well, I already have the orcs and the humans. And he was going to let our other friend play the orcs, and he was going to play the humans. And I was like, dude, I'll pick one of the other races. So obviously it came with this book, the Warhammer 6th edition book. And I was like, all right, and you can, this thing is thick. How many pages is this? It's like 288 pages. It's pretty much 300 pages, right? And I swear to God, like, a good chunk of it is just, like, rules and things that happen on the battlefield that it's not picking up. What if I do this? There we go. Now it does it. Oh, now I'm gone. Just look at that. Special rules. Oh, here we go. This is all the races, right? You got, like, orcs and goblins. So I'm looking through all these, right? Like, oh, man, you know, Skaven look cool. You got the Ratmen. You got, I don't know, looking through, but then I saw them, dude. There they were. The Lizard Men. I saw the Lizard Men, and that was it. It was a match made, I guess not in heaven, but a match made in my brain. I was like, oh my god, I love the Lizard Men. I love them. These guys are great. And so it was almost my birthday. I went to the Games Workshop, and I still remember I went with my mom, and the dude there was working, and he's like, "Oh, if you want the lizard men, you gotta buy a slan. You gotta buy the slan mage priest." And you're like 11, 12 years old, right? And this dude's like, "Dude, this guy's a frog, and he just casts spells, and he's like the high priest of the lizard men. This guy's crazy, and he leads them in the battle." And I'm just like, "Holy shit." I gotta buy this frog. They can give me that pitch now, and I'd be like, "Dude, holy shit, I'll buy this guy." So yeah, I bought him, took it home, and I'm like, "What the shit is this? I gotta put this together. It's a bunch of metal pieces." Then I was like, "Oh god." So I essentially just tried to like makeshift glue them together and whatever, and I couldn't figure it out. So I took it to my grandpa, who was like an engineer, and so he helped me build it. Although he didn't, we didn't buy any Games Workshop supplies or anything. He just literally had like a bunch of super glue and some other stuff, and he's like, we'll put it together, because he built stuff. He did like wood carving and everything, and so we did that. And I still have 2 of them. I don't have the Slan Mage Priest anymore, which makes me sad, but I do have, here's one of my lizard men. I still got him from 2001 or whatever. All right, well, he broke. I'm just kidding, he didn't break. This dude can't break. He's literally just made of metal or whatever they used. He's also, you can see kind of like big globs of glue on parts of him. And he's also not painted. He's actually just colored in with like permanent colored marker. And honestly, for permanent colored marker, he's held up pretty well. And then just some like random grass stuff on the bottom. I honestly don't even remember putting the grass flock on. Like, it's not even in my memory. But it's nice to still have this guy as like a look back and be like, "Dude, look at that." So it's just, a nice relic into the past. Especially because my grandfather helped me with all that, passed away this year. So it's just like it's kind of like a nostalgic thing in a way, right? Because he like helped me build all these. And if anything, he was like the most like me. He was, the person who liked engineering and building stuff and like creativity. So out of like all my relatives and grandparents, I kind of gravitated towards him the most. So he was always, even then, he'd always be like, "You're doing YouTube things." And he actually tried doing YouTube stuff at like 90 years old. So I mean, he was like 95. If I can live to 95, I'll take it. But anyway, that's how I got into Warhammer, right? And then we would attempt to play the game, and we didn't play it right. Do you think 12-year-olds are going to read this thing? There's probably a couple people like, "I read the entire book." But listen, I can't even read a Hearthstone card. You think I'm going to read this at 12? That's not happening. So we would just randomly roll dice and do whatever, because, you're a kid. And still, I'd probably do that to this day. Just roll a dice. And then, like anything, you kind of get tired, you move on. I think we moved on to, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something. Like, "Dude, we saw a Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode. Let's play that now." And then you're like, all right. So that was, that was our Warhammer adventure. I even remember trying to build, like, a big map. I had, like, a big sheet of paper, and I, like, found some rocks outside and some grass. I'm like, "I'm going to make a Lizardmen swamp." And it was not anything near what a Lizardmen swamp should be, but, it was me attempting to do it. And I was like, this is going to be great. So then, that was that. Anyway, fast forward maybe to, like, 2000... I don't know. Whenever Blood Bowl happened, right, with TB. So I remember TB being really into 40K, and he's like, "Oh, I love 40K. It's one of my favorites, it is." And I was like, I don't understand it. I was like, I used to play Warhammer Fantasy a bit, but, and he's like, "Oh, 40K, if you ever play 40K. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then, after a little while, he was like, you said you like Warhammer, right? You like sports. You want to play Blood Bowl League?" And I was like, sure, that sounds good. That's when the TGS Blood Bowl League happened. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, Blood Bowl. It's like, football mixed with fantasy and all that." I'm like, sounds great. And so he's like, "Here's all the races." And so obviously, having played and really enjoyed Lizardmen before, I was like, I'll play Lizardmen, sure. that's who I played back when I was 12 years old. So the legend of Lil Skittles was born, and the TGS Blood Bowl League, and the rest was history after that. But I think a lot of people thought I really enjoyed Lizardmen from Blood Bowl, but really I enjoyed Lizardmen in Blood Bowl because I played them when I was like 12. So that's where that like stemmed in. And so after that, I just kept playing Blood Bowl, and obviously you've seen all my Blood Bowl stuff, I would imagine. And then about 2 years ago, I was, I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was just talking about Warhammer in general, or I was playing maybe Total War Warhammer, and I was like, man, it would be really cool to like get back into it, because like now I have like money and time and a brain that's fully developed and I'm capable of like doing things somewhat, at least, not all things. It's still very underdeveloped in various parts. But I can put a miniature together at least. So people in chat were like, dude, just go buy something. They still got Lizardmen. And I was like, all right, yeah. So I went to a Games Workshop, and I was like, hey, do you got Lizardmen? And they're like, yeah, they're called the Seraphon now. And I was like, but they're still like Lizardmen, right? And they're like, yeah, they literally just changed their name for copyright stuff. And I was like, nice, I'll buy it. So I bought the Start Collecting, and rest is history. Now it's, when I first got into it again, it was like it was like going back to classic WoW, you know what I mean? Like just the full nostalgia and being like, dude, this is amazing, and like gluing and building and painting and like all that stuff and learning how to do it all. And I was like, that was like all I did for weeks. Like weeks and weeks was just Warhammer. And then, I learned how to play the game at a local game store, and that was great. Just meeting a bunch of cool people and learning how to play Age of Sigmar, which I still think it's great. I know some people are like, I don't really like it, or, I won't play because fantasy, and they like ruin fantasy or whatever. But like, personally, I like it a lot. Maybe it's because I didn't really, my memories of fantasy are literally just me being like, oh, look, I built the lizard guy, and that's it. So now I'm like, sure, I'll learn how to play the game, and I think it's fun. But aside from that, I was like, yeah, this is great. So I learned how to build, paint, play, do everything, and then I was like, I'm still having fun. Might as well make this YouTube channel. And, part of me thought I would be tired of it by now. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into it for nostalgic purposes. Maybe I'll buy a couple lizard models. I wanted to build my Slan because I never got to build my Slan when I was a kid. And so I did that. And then I built like some Saurus warriors and some other stuff. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, but that guy looks cool too. And that guy looks cool. And then you start playing the game, and it's like, well, now I need Pterodon riders. Now I need like 50 skinks. Now I need 40 Saurus warriors. Now I need at least 4 Bastiladon. And then before you know it, your wallet's empty, and you're like, whew. But yeah. And, to this day, I think the thing I appreciate about Warhammer the most kind of is the same thing my friend's dad got him into Warhammer for, right? He was like, here's this Warhammer thing, and hopefully it stops you from looking at that computer screen so often, right? And ironically, back then you're like, nah, I still want to look at the screen. Now I'm like, man, I'm glad I got Warhammer, because now I don't have to look at the computer screen as often. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you do something in front of a screen all day, whether it's, my job of like streaming and videos or editing or whatever, or like even just office work, or, whatever you do. A lot of jobs require being in front of a screen. And then on top of it, you got your phone or your tablet or whatever it might be. It's nice to just sit down and just, have like a physical thing in your hand and just paint or like build or like glue it. And it just feels, I don't know, it feels like the art of crafting, and it feels like you get that kind of creative, freedom. And I feel like when I started YouTube, that kind of filled that creative void I had, right? I was like, dude, I'm making videos, I'm doing all this stuff. And then after a while, just like pretty much anything you do, you lose that a bit. And the times change, things change, whatever. And so I feel like that creative void has once again been fulfilled by Warhammer. Because, you know, you're like, oh, I can build these things different ways, especially once you learn how to, like, you know, you're like, I can glue on different heads. I can glue on different arms. I can do some random stuff. You know, you can kit bash. You can paint things different ways. You can, you know, prime them different ways. You can be like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to paint it the same ways in the book. I'm going to make this an ice army and paint them all blue and do like snow. I'm going to paint them like this, right? The world's your oyster. You can literally just do whatever you want. And that's what I really enjoy about it as well. And especially now, it's becoming more and more popular, and being able to watch Warhammer YouTubers that like teach you how to paint really well. Because, like, you know, back in the day, nobody knew how to paint well except, you know, a few people, and you're just like, just wing it. And now it's like you can just open a YouTube video and someone's just showing you how to do it, and it's like amazing. And obviously, you're not going to learn that from me, but I think it's kind of like esports or anything, right? Like, there's some people where you watch them because you're like, dude, they're really good at what they're doing. They're really good at playing a game, or they're really good at painting. Maybe they're really good at playing Warhammer on the tabletop and tournaments and stuff. And then some people, it's like, you know what? I just watch this person because they have fun doing it. And I feel like that's my my niche here, is just, you know, I'm just having fun doing it, you know, for a nostalgic purpose, for a creative purpose. It's just, it's something I'm really glad that I got back into, and that I still really enjoy doing, even 2 years later. So that's my story. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And again, leave your story down in the comments section below, because it's always fun to hear about other people's stories, and maybe add in maybe why you got back into it, if you did end up getting out of it, or, you know, anything else you want to add, like why you enjoy the hobby, etc., etc., your preferences, all that good stuff. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya. Also, here's some videos if you want to watch some other stuff. I'm very good at YouTube promotions. Woo!